Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the region. He's been there 5 times, and he's currently juggling visits between Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, attempting to broker some kind of deal when it comes to the hostages. There's still dozens, if not 100+ hostages being held by Hamas. Politico writes, and one can imagine where the leak on this came from, is Antony Blinken too nice to be Secretary of State? The Israel-Hamas war is the toughest crisis yet for America's top diplomat, and he's struggling. Senator Chris Coons, member of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, is with us. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Do you agree with the assessment there that Blinken is struggling?
No, I do not at all. I think Secretary Blinken is a seasoned, capable, and forceful Secretary of State. Look, the most important qualification for a Secretary of State is that they have the trust of the president. And Secretary Blinken has worked with President Biden for decades on foreign policy. You also have to have a global reach and range of contacts and experience, and he certainly has that. And he has represented America and American interests forcefully and well.
Yeah, and we asked the author of the piece to come on today, and she's busy. She said she might come on later in the week. But at some level, you kind of don't want to jerk as a diplomat. That may be what you want in Secretary of Defense, but not necessarily in a diplomat. This soundbite, though, struck me today from Secretary Blinken speaking about what had happened on October 7th and then Israel's response. Take a listen.
Israelis were dehumanized in the most horrific way on October 7th. The hostages have been dehumanized every day since. But that cannot be a license to dehumanize others.
How in the world can as you said, someone who speaks for the President of the United States in any way make a moral equivalence between what Hamas did and now what Israel is doing to defend itself?
I just reject the assumption underlying your question. I've been with Secretary Blinken when he has been clear and forceful about how horrific the attacks of Hamas are, how completely unacceptable that is, and how Israel has not only the right but the obligation to defend itself and to defend itself by fighting against Hamas. I have repeatedly said in the region, here in the Senate, in committee, that Hamas has a long-established practice of using civilians as human shields, of embedding their resources, their fighters, their ammunition stocks beneath mosques and hospitals. And so as a result, the terrible civilian cost of Israel's campaign in Gaza is in no small part because of the strategies that Hamas pursues.
Okay, well, you just said that you reject the premise. It wasn't my premise. It was Secretary Blinken's. He used the exact same words of Israelis were dehumanized. It cannot be a license to dehumanize others. You don't say that unless you're at least implying that Israel is dehumanizing and engaging in the same kind of behavior as Hamas.
What's your question, sir?
No, my question is, do you agree with, why is it that Secretary Blinken, you think, said that?
Look, I just disagree with the way you're framing this, and you've taken one sentence out of hours and hours of speeches and actions. I know Secretary Blinken well. I know his heart and his priorities, and I think he represents our country effectively. And I don't think he in any way equates Israel and their protection of Israeli civilians with Hamas, a horrific terrorist organization.
All right, fair enough. I'm interested in what's happening in the Senate right now in terms of how these aid bills are going to get through. Are you of the thought that Israeli aid and Ukrainian aid are going to have to be linked?
They are, and I think they should be in the Senate because there is an urgency to our providing support to our vital partner, Ukraine, as they fight off Russian aggression. There are 50 other countries around the world who together have contributed more to the defense of Ukraine than we have. They are running out of ammunition, and I think it's time for us to step up to the plate. I do think that support for our ally Israel as they continue to conduct their war against Hamas is also urgent and pressing, and support for Taiwan and some of our other Indo-Pacific partners and investment in humanitarian relief. That's the scope of what's left. But let's be clear. This urgency is in no small part because Republicans here in the Senate demanded that we negotiate a tough border security bill before we could consider aid to Ukraine.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.